In the idyllic Caribbean where blue waters meet golden sands, a challenge threatens the livelihood of these small island nations. That challenge is debt crisis. But what exactly is a debt crisis? A debt crisis occurs when a country can't repay its debts, thereby sending ripples through its economy and society. It's a complex web of factors: high debt, limited access to financial markets, and stagnant growth. This has dire impacts as debt servicing in many Caribbean small island developing states crowds out government's ability to deliver health, social services, and other critical services. Even worse, it will affect government's ability to pay salaries and even channel funds towards education. For many citizens, this will result in economic hardship. For example, debt interest payments in Suriname far exceed wages and salaries in the Ministry of Defense, subsidies in the Ministry of Education, and even spending on roadworks and other critical infrastructure. To stabilize their finances, governments are forced to implement austerity measures. This redounds to less spending on public services like healthcare and education and higher taxes. At the close of 2022, 8 Caribbean countries had debt levels exceeding the 70% threshold the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank recognizes as a key inflection point where debt sustainability becomes a growing concern.
Sovereign debt has more or less have a negative impact in various sectors across the region. And I think across the various years we've seen a multiplicity of reactions and factors that play to that. We've seen the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. We've seen what now to be the war in Russia and Ukraine, and rising inflation rates across the US, the global north, and how it's impacting the global south as a result.
If we look at the effects of the national debt on our foundation, we can generally say inflation, and that causes price increases, especially to provide for nutrition. Last month, I noticed a weekly increase of 500 SRD, which you immediately notice. Also, your staff. The government makes wage adjustments, but we cannot, because our prices are increasing, but our income is not increasing proportionately. So you notice it there too. What we try to do is to make as many cutbacks as possible where necessary.
The effects
that we experience in the care of the elderly of the government national debt are particularly noticeable in the implementation of the IMF rules that must be applied. What we actually notice that in the services provided by the various organizations that we need, for example, security, everyone is confronted with the adjustment of the hourly wage. It directly affects us. We also look at the employees. What you have to offer to remain at a high quality and professional level entails a lot more cost. That means that we as an organization experience considerable pressure to be able to offer our services to the community.
Christophorus internaat is een internaat voor jongeren uit het...
Christophorus is a boarding school for young people from the interior, ethnically maroon and indigenous young people. We have 72 young people. They come from the interior. We offer care, shelter, and guidance. They are at the secondary and high school level. On the issue of our economic crisis today, it affects us a lot in a negative way. In terms of nutrition, it costs a lot. It's not easy to feed 72 young people in that age group. It costs a lot of money. Everyone knows it. All prices have gone up as a result of the price increases, and we feel it. I myself say, we who find ourselves in the lowest classes of society, the lower you are, the greater the pressure.
The deleterious outcomes for the people of these nations are tangible, and left ignored systematically widen the gap between the rich and the poor. Unsustainable national debt is everyone's business. It's crucial that citizens of the small island developing states understand this because knowledge empowers them to demand transparency and accountability from their leaders.
There must be more broader consultation and discussion in how our debt is spent, how we manage what we borrow, where is this investment going, or this, when we borrow money, where is it being spent and how is it being accounted for. I think because of the small island, we have not a big population. We need to have more individual responsibility or accountability on how our debt is borrowed on account of us.
Informed citizens can drive discussions on economic diversification and resilience. The national debt consultations conducted across the region in 2023 brought members of civil society organizations together for discussions on the issues and the way forward. This type of collaboration will empower stakeholders to be able to advocate for international support, lighten the burden of debt, and propel sustainable development. An informed and engaged population is a beacon of hope towards a more stable and prosperous future.